Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. As reported in my last video, we have the wonderful prospect of Lorna Slater facing a vote of no confidence. And should she lose it, it means she'll no longer be a minister. She'll have to resign the role. Of course, she doesn't lose her seat, unfortunately. With no such luck on that one. But it does mean at least that she can no longer hold any kind of position of authority. Her hands will be well and truly off the levers of power. And of course, if that goes through, it may well end up being the end of the Butte House Agreement. This is all very fine and pleasant, and of course see my previous video. If you haven't yet, do please watch it. That'll explain what's going on. However, that is not the only bit of news with regards to people losing power, because of course today sees the opening of the petition to eject Margaret Ferrier from the House of Commons. They need 10% of the electorate, some 8,000 odd signatures, and should they achieve that, there will be a recall election, and of course Labour are favourite to win that by a long way. Here's the thing: who is going to sign the recall election petition? Will they get 10%? Well, Labour reckons that they have already got 10% just from their supporters. The Tories say the same. And even the SNP are pushing their people out to sign it. Now, when will they get the 10%? Some reckon it could even be today, day one. That would be astounding. But even if it isn't, because it's people working, people are busy. So even if it's a few days and they wait until the weekend and sign it, it could be as soon as Saturday. The 10% is hit, bang, it's done. There'll be an election, and if it is seen that 10% hit it really, really quickly, I think she must know in her heart of hearts that she's not going to win that vote, so she's out. And the trouble is for her, she's going to have to fight really, really hard. Because after all, who the hell is going to employ an ex-MP thrown out of the party, recall petitioned out of Parliament, a convicted criminal with no other life skills? I think she's done. And that, of course, is why she's held on as long as she can. She's desperate for the money. That's all she's going to get. She's never going to earn again, is she? Unless they're taking on at the local Asda, something like that. But we'll have a look at this. We'll have a look at this article here to see why she's so desperate to stay, what she's doing, and she's going to the people. She is fighting it, which is very weird, because I think she must know that she hasn't truly got a chance. Here goes. So Margaret Ferrier appeals to voters as recall petition opens. I don't think she does appeal to voters. I think she's very much unappealing to voters. But you know what she means. She's launching an appeal, begging them to let her stay and earn money off the public purse. Disgraced MP Margaret Ferrier has made a last-ditch plea to her constituents, urging them not to remove her from office because she's got no other chance in life of making as much money as she can here. The fate of the rule-breaking former SNP politician, who last year pleaded guilty to willfully exposing MPs, travellers, churchgoers and others to the risk of infection, illness and death, is in the hands of voters in Rutherglen and Hamilton West, with Scotland's first recall petition opening today. First one ever. They've never needed it before, but boy did they need it with this one. And if more than 10% of Rutherglenians, that's a terrible term, isn't it? I suppose it's better than Rutherglenians. I can go with that one. If more than 10% of Rutherglenians add their names to the petition, either in person or by postal vote, Miss Ferrier will automatically lose her seat, triggering a by-election. Yeah, it's the very moment that the 10% is hit. And so they're keeping it open from today until the end of July. But at the moment 10% is hit, it's done. It closes at that point. And at that point, she stops being an MP and she's paid to that point. That's the last day she earns money as an MP. Done. Unless she's re-elected. Unless she gets herself re-elected as a constituency MP. Which is not likely to happen, is it? Let's be honest. After you do all that and just basically invent these laws, pass these laws, and then ignore these laws while forcing other people into having to obey them, Anyway, in her statement, Miss Ferrier said her record of work for her constituents spoke for itself. Well, given what you've done, you really shouldn't be bringing up your record, should you? It's your record that's got you into trouble. She says, as an independent MP, because she was thrown out of the SNP, as an independent MP, my constituents are my top priority and always have been. No, keeping your arse in a seat at public expense is your top priority. She said, the most important thing is that they are able to access the right support when they need it, and they can be confident that their views are represented. My record speaks for itself in this respect. Well, let's have a look at those views of her constituents. If they vote overwhelmingly to get a recall election, that line is dead in the water, isn't it? She says, I do not have any desire or need to play into party politics, which inevitably distracts from constituency issues and the needs of local residents. Oh, that's her spin on the fact that every other party is trying to get her out. While parties have already spent months arguing about their candidates for by-election that's not even been confirmed, it is just a matter of time. They have disregarded the very real issues faced by many in our community. Well, let's be honest, you haven't been able to do a lot about it because you haven't even been allowed to go to Parliament. You're suspended. And you weren't giving that much thought to your constituents when you were breaking the rules and endangering them, were you? Because it wasn't a case of just travelling through a COVID lockdown. You knowingly travelled, with the disease. So don't be coming the cod here. Anyway, she said, this is why so many constituents have expressed to me that they do not want a by-election. Bless. But there'll be enough that do. What are you going to do? The MP said some voters are told that the instructions provided by the local authority were unclear. No, they're not. You go out, you put your name on the list, and then if 10% of you hit it, it's an election. It's not unclear, is it? I mean, what's unclear about go and write your name? I mean, if asking people to go and sign their name to a petition is unclear, then you have got a very low opinion of your constituents. Anyway, she said, if you wish to see me continue as your MP, then do not sign the petition paper, she added. This is desperation, isn't it? She is sweating blood, hopefully not to lose her seat. The statement continued. It is ultimately up to the people of Rutherglen and Hamilton West to decide what happens next. Not Westminster, not Holyrood, and certainly not any political party HQs. I beg to differ. I think it is entirely up to political party HQs. They will be going around and phoning up their supporters and asking their supporters for assistance in this matter. And being supporters, they'll probably give it. So I believe it is entirely up to political parties. Being an MP or an MSP or any kind of politician, it isn't an act of charity. You have to work for it, and people work very hard. And I tell you what, harder than you. Miss Ferrier was found guilty of culpable and reckless conduct at Glasgow Sheriff Court last August, after she admitted travelling on a train in September 2020, despite knowing that she had COVID. The MP also spoke in the House of Commons and visited a number of locations in Glasgow, including a mass at St Mungo's and a bar in Prestwick. And after the positive result came through, she lied to colleagues and said she had to go home to visit a sick relative. So she's a liar, she's a criminal, she lies to her constituents, she's a rule breaker, she's a law breaker, she is completely untrustworthy and effectively unemployable. She's been thrown out by her party. She's now been ejected for 30 days by Parliament. And that's whisker close from losing her seat. What future does this woman have? No wonder she is absolutely desperate for people to keep her in power. Anyway, she was ordered to carry out 270 hours of service, which is the same punishment you get for hiring a child in Scotland. And in her statement, Miss Ferrier said, I made a mistake, for which I continue to apologise, and I have faced severe punishment. It's hardly severe, is it? Anyway, it has not deterred me from doing right by my constituents and continuing to fight on their behalf. I hope that my constituents will recognise this. they'll recognise a liar, they'll recognise a hypocrite, and they will vote accordingly. Do not kid yourself, Margaret Ferrier. You is out. You is out, out, out. Labour and the SNP are confident that the 8,113 signatures necessary to force a by-election can be gathered before the July the 31st deadline. The two parties have registered as campaigners for the recall petition, which means they can both spend up to £10,000 over the next 6 weeks urging voters to remove Miss Ferrier. They'll be on that phone. Let me tell you. Unregistered petition campaigners are only allowed to spend £500 on petition campaign activity. But you can guarantee there'll be a lot of people pushing for this. Labour and the SNP have already selected their candidates for a contest which on paper looks like a shoo-in for Anna Sawal's hopeful modern studies teacher Michael Shanks. The SNP has selected local councillor Katie Loudon. She said constituents in Rutherglen and Hamilton West have the opportunity to hold a by-election and elect an SNP MP. They won't, though. They'll elect a Labour MP. The first step in that process will be to sign the recall petition. They're all up for it. They are absolutely all up for it. And I don't think she's going to survive this at all, do you? Anyway, she said, in the face of a Tory economic incompetence and a Labour Party looking more and more like a Tory tribute act, I would suggest it's the other way round. It's the Tory Party are morphing into a socialist party, while the Labour Party, the party of the worker, are morphing into a party that wants to actually end all employment. It's a very, very weird world we're living in. Anyway, if Miss Ferrier loses her seat, the timing of the by-election will be up to the SNP, who have the responsibility to move the writ in the Commons. They must put a motion to MPs, and if agreed, the Speaker will notify the relevant returning officer. There's no statutory time limit for the moving of the writ. However, by convention, they're usually done within 6 to 8 weeks, because otherwise the constituents are left unrepresented. And so it's usually quite quick. 6 to 8 weeks is usual. It's the writ goes in, and then it's either 4 or 6 weeks of campaigning, and then the election. That's that. There's no hard and fast rule, but that's the sort of the convention on that. Anyway, because the petition ends in the middle of summer, the earliest they can move the writ will be when the Commons returns in September, which happens to be the 6 to 8 weeks. So it's going to be there. Oh yeah, because no. You see, the petition ends in the middle of summer, 31st of July, but actually, which actually more or less is the middle of summer, isn't it? But which actually it could end a lot quicker. It could end tomorrow. In which case, the writ could come very quickly. If everyone gets out, if everyone does it and gets it out, it's still spring, remember? It's not summer till tomorrow. And if everyone gets out, we could have it, boom, done, and she could be done today. Oh, you need Labour, Tory, SNP. Get on that phone, get everyone out, get them signing. Let's have this done and dusted. Anyway, I shall round off there and I shall come up. There we are. It is up to the good people of Rutherglen and Hamilton West to make a point of getting out about today, going into one of the 7 signatory places, signing their name, putting the necessary information. It isn't just your name. You have to put your name, your address, and a contact number, I think. But you put them down, and you do that, and you only need 8,000 of you. So it's something that can be achieved certainly within a few days. I think certainly by the weekend. But if you put the effort in, you could have it done today, and you could send the right message. And I guarantee it will get to the 10,000. The 10,000. The 10 probably will get to 10,000. It will get to the 10%, and it will do it quite quickly. I'm going to estimate before the weekend, or certainly before the end of the weekend. Put it that way, because people will be out and about on a Saturday more often, and they'll do this. They will have everybody, all the parties will be out there, and they'll be pushing this. So Margaret Ferrier is now going to be sitting there enjoying what could today be the last day as an MP, but certainly it'll be her last week, I think, as an MP, and then off she can go and go down the Dole office and see if there's anything that she can get for being unemployable. Who knows? Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for listening. If you like what you see in here on the channel, do please hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video. And we will follow this. And as soon as we know the result, obviously there's going to be another video on this. Also, I'll be doing, the follow-ups on the Lorna Slater story. Not a lot happening. I've just checked it just prior to doing this one. And basically, it hasn't moved any forwarder, but then it's not likely to because the news only broke late last night. And then everybody's been asleep. But there's bound to be more changes today. So as soon as I find out any more on the Lorna Slater story, I shall bring that to you. So we've got two very live stories there, both involving idiots who are about to be rejected. Isn't it delicious? We live in interesting times. Anyway, until next time, stay safe, stay well, do keep watching. We've got to keep on this, and we will stay and keep pushing for the truth. That's my new mantra now. We push for the truth. And goodbye.